Respect for us a lot, and yet they have a plane that's much better and much newer. It's a little ridiculous out there. And we have our signal and we have our beautiful American flag, and we put the wave in it. As you know, we've always gone with this straight little noodle, and I never loved that. Now we have a wavy, beautiful flag. We're waving it proudly because our country is doing so well. Our country is doing so well. Those ships are flowing out of the Hormuz Strait like nobody's ever seen before, actually. There were a lot of them, about 700 of them, and they're pouring out. The oil is all over the place. You're going to see oil drop so low. I hope the companies are happy about it. But we have a lot of victories. We had a great victory in Venezuela, where we're now doing really well with the government. The big companies are all in there, the oil companies. They're building rigs, and we've paid for that war many, many times over. We're running it, and again, we have a fantastic relationship with the people of Venezuela. Venezuela has become a happy country because they have never made the money that they're making now. We take some and they take some, but I just want to thank the general for the job. Raising Cane, I liked his name right away. I had him, Raising Cane, and he raises cane, and he's very quiet about it. But he knows how to win. I knew that a long time ago. I said, if I ever get back here, I know the guy I'm going to put in charge of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and I got my man. So thank you, General. Great job. We're proud of you. And all of the people. I mean, we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. And you saw that in Iran, where in 1 week, virtually, we knocked out their entire Navy, their entire Air Force, their anti-missile weapons, their radar. We knocked out everything. Now, some of the fake news would say, oh, we didn't do it fast enough or something. We took about a week. We're a little spoiled by Venezuela, but equal, I would say equal. And now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that. I think it's going to be very good. Remember, if we do that, then all of a sudden you're not going to have the oil flowing out of the strait too quickly, because people that own billion-dollar ships don't love missiles flying over them, don't love mines all over the water. And this is going to be amazing what's happening now, because we have the greatest economy that we've ever had. We have $19.2 trillion coming into our country from other countries and people, but a lot of other countries are coming in, including Qatar, who was so nice in providing. You know, we were at a little bit of a logjam. We're waiting for I call them the normal 747s, and I asked the Emir if we could use the brand new 747 that he got when we first heard about it, 800 hours. 800 hours for an airplane is essentially, I think, Troy, you could say that's a brand new plane. And I said, we'd like to use it for a little while because the planes are pretty old. Our planes are old. See, a normal president wouldn't do this. A normal president wants to stay away from aircraft. We don't want to order any aircraft so that everybody thinks, but our country has to be represented properly. That includes we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest aircraft anywhere in the world, military fighters and bombers, and the B-2 bomber. You saw what that did. And we should have a plane. And we're going to have, as you know, we ordered two for a long time ago. They ordered, and they're coming in. And the hangar was built for the large plane. The other plane is such a difference in size. But there will never be one like this. This is very unique. This is considered the world's most luxurious plane. When it was built at a level that will probably never be seen again. And if the press would like, I don't know if it's going to help me with stories. I don't think they'll be any different. But what we're going to do is we're going to take you for just a quick tour. The press is actually going to, oh, look at them. They're actually smiling. Are you smiling? The first time I've seen them smile in years. They don't smile at Republicans. They should smile at Republicans because we're the ones that make America great. Anyway, but that's good. You happy about that? We'll do it. All right. So when I leave, they're going to take you for a little tour. You'll see something you won't even believe. And you'll be spending a lot of time. We're doing a lot of trips. We'll be going to Turkey. We'll be going at some point during the year back to China. President Xi's coming here in September. but we're going back for a big conference that's in China. I said I'd do that. And I want to thank China because, to be honest, I asked President Xi not to get involved with Iran. And they get 50% of their oil from the Strait. But I asked him not to get involved. And he said he wouldn't, and he didn't. I mean, very nice, actually. Very nice. So I appreciate that. But we'll be doing a lot of traveling together. The workmanship of this plane is, when you see it, you won't believe it, actually. The quality of woods, the quality of the materials, the quality of the engines. These engines are the finest, they're the best in the world. Nothing like it. So it's really an honor. And I want to thank the Emir of Qatar. He's a fantastic guy. He went through a lot over the last few months. He's very brave, as were Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince, and the King of Saudi Arabia, who's in good health. He's a little older. Got a little bit, I knew him when he was a little bit younger. I've known him all for a long time, but the Crown Prince is a fantastic person. And UAE Mohammed from UAE, incredible. He's an incredible fighter. They're all incredible fighters. And they fought with us, and they've been loyal to us. And I appreciate it. Also Kuwait, Bahrain, and some others. And obviously we fought very well with Israel. And we've had a great relationship with Israel. We were very formidable. And Bibi Netanyahu, he's a warrior prime minister. And he should be acknowledged as that. They should give him credit because he really did. We had a very good relationship, General, with all of them. But we really fought hard with Israel. And frankly, I feel that if we weren't around, let's say if there wasn't this presidency, we rebuilt our military during my first term. Some of it was foolishly given away by the Biden administration. Nobody can even understand that, but not much compared, a lot, but not much compared to what we built. And then a lot was given away by Biden to Ukraine. And they should pay for it, meaning the Europeans should pay for it, but that wasn't in the cards for them. They didn't, nobody asked them to pay. All you have to do is say, take our military, just pay us. Just pay us. Nobody asked. I said, why didn't you pay? Nobody asked us to, sir. I was with the European leaders over the weekend. I said, we gave you think of it, $350 billion worth of planes, 300 of weapons of all kinds and other things. And they said, why? I said, why didn't you? And he said, well, nobody ever asked us. So we're going to, now they do pay, Europe pays, and we're trying to get that war ended, Ukraine and Russia. I'd like to see it end. A lot of people. Last week it was reported 34,000 people died. Soldiers, mostly soldiers. I've ended 8 wars. I'm very proud of it, but this was the one I thought might be the easiest of all, and it's turned out to be a little more difficult, but we're going to get it done. I want to thank the Secretary of the Air Force, who's a friend of mine. He's highly respected. He's a great guy. He's doing a wonderful job out here. Troy, thank you very much. Troy Mink, thank you very much, Troy. Great job. And he loves it, don't you? He likes beautiful aircraft. Now, we have beautiful aircraft. We have a thing called the F-47. I'm sure you haven't heard of it. But they say it's stage 6. They say it's the greatest fighting machine ever developed. And we'll find out. The F-47. And it's under construction now. And they have the assembly line already working. And it's going to do great. Undersecretary of War Michael Duffy. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. And again, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Daniel Kane, who's fantastic. Air Force Chief of Staff, General Kenneth Wilsbach. Thank you. Thank you, Kenneth. The CEO of L3 Harris, Chris Kubasik. Thank you. Great job, Chris. He said they do a lot of the great planes in the world, and he said, we never did one like this. This is something special. Thank you. I heard you were fantastic. Thank you very much. And I also want to thank, I think, a natural-born warrior. His name is Pete Hegseth, and he has done working with the generals and everybody else. He's a natural, I believe. Well, so far we've been winning all the time. We're not going to lose. He doesn't know how to lose, and he's a tough cookie, and he loved, the first day I met him, I said, this guy really loves the military. Very successful, great colleges, went to the best schools, great student, but he loved the military. And I said, I'm going to give him a chance, and he more than lived up to the reputation, so he's great. He's doing a fantastic job. Pete Hegseth. And I also want to thank especially the 250 people, that's a lot, who worked 24/7 to prepare this plane for service, including many airmen here at Joint Base Andrews, and I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all, and your generals and Troy and everybody. We're doing you a little favor. You have 2.5 really bad golf courses here. Really bad. They have no water. They're dying. And everybody wants to play, but they're really not representative of quality. So Jack Nicklaus, who's a friend of mine, is doing, I told him, he's a great designer, too. He was the greatest player. Tiger and Jack, Jack and Tiger. Gary Player was right there, too, Gary. Gary won 168 tournaments. We got to say that's pretty good, too. But Jack Nicklaus, a great, great, legendary golfer. He won 18 majors and close to 100 tournaments. And known also, very, very rarely does this happen, known also, he's really become a fantastic golf course designer. He's done tremendous golf course. And I said, Jack, and he loves the military. I said, Jack, would you do me a favor? Take this beautiful piece of land with terrible courses that don't have water, they don't have anything, they have grass that's 400 years old. I said, will you, right? They know what I mean. Give them a really good, give them a world championship course, because the land is phenomenal. The outer fairways, in other words, the area, the trees between fairways are the most beautiful I think I've ever seen, because nobody's touched them in many, many years. And they've just about started construction. You're going to have it very quickly, and you're going to have, I think, the finest military courses anywhere in the world, but they'll be among the best, you know. It doesn't cost much more to make them top tier, for a couple of bucks more. And I said, we're going to spend it. So that's our gift, the general, myself, Troy, that's our gift to this, to great place, Andrews. I've gotten to know it. You know, I've been coming here a lot of years now. It seems strange, but we've been coming here a lot of years, and everybody involved with Andrews is a winner. They run this so well and so important. So you're going to have 2.5. We're doing 2 courses and a half for young people, very young people, and disabled. If there's anybody that needs a little help, it's so amazing what they do. And so we're doing 9 holes, and that'll be for disabled, young people. Very, very special. Hasn't been done before. I thought it would be a great idea. But with the extraordinary devotion of many of you here today, this plane was transformed into a flying White House at a level of luxury that nobody's ever seen before. Probably even almost outside of an airplane. It's nobody's ever seen anything like this. And in only 10 months, a time frame no one thought possible. And you know, they put a lot of things on here that normally you wouldn't do. Great protective mechanisms, very, very, the latest and the greatest in every aspect. But it took us about 10 months, and they did it really professionally. These generals were what they do. And this was this was love, right? This was not your normal, General, this was not your normal situation. Come here, I want to shake your hand. You work so hard. Come here. This guy. He worked so hard with such love, and it's basically is a love for the country and a love for the Air Force, but his whole group was just unbelievable, and you thank them all. Okay? Thank you, General. Appreciate it. Great job. And it was all of the generals. They wanted to do something special. They wanted to get it done for the 250th year, the anniversary. We have America's 250th, and that's coming up in a little while. And I think I can say that we're going to do a flyover like no flyover. This is going to lead a group of many, many planes. I do love the F-22, I have to tell. Does anybody like the F-22? I love the F-22. I say, why aren't you putting F-22s? They're putting F-22s. They're going to have the 35s. They're going to have the 60s. They're going to have everything. But this will be a flyover on July 4th. I think I can say the likes of which we've never seen before, General, right? Spending a couple of bucks extra for a little fuel. We own the plane, so all we need is a little extra fuel, right? And we have every pilot wants to do it. Those pilots are all fighting to do it. So we're going to have a lot of planes flying over the Capitol and over the White House. And maybe I could ask you to do a return trip, too, because, you know, they fly over and they go fast. When they're going slow, they're going fast, right? And as I understand it, this is going to lead the brigade. And the general's doing that. I mean, see it, because sometimes you see them and you see, like, for instance, the other night. Did anybody see the fight the other night by any chance? Because I figured because it was one of the highest rated shows they've ever had, ever. I think everybody was watching that. That was rather gruesome. Would anybody like to be a fighter? I don't think so. That was one of the greatest events. But they flew over, the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds. I don't know. Have they ever worked together before? You know, I think they probably hate each other, right? You know. But they're two groups that they got together and they put on a performance. And I think we're going to get some of that, too. And it's really, these are fantastic people. So we had it all painted up, and these are the new colors, red, white, and blue. And we like the baby blue, but it was time for a change. And this is the sleekest line. Everything was designed good. It was my taste, I will say. He said, what color do you like? I said, I like the color of the American flag, right? That makes sense. So we have that, and all of the planes in the fleet are being changed into this look, which is a much better look and a more appropriate look. But this plane is the first successful example of a real transformation of something that was built at the highest level and now had to be changed a little bit. We have communication equipment up there that's nobody's ever seen before. It's the highest level, and including Starlink. My friend Elon is going to be very happy. But Starlink, and we have 4 or 5 different sets of double and triple communications like people haven't seen, and it represents what can happen with hard work, innovation, and aggressive timelines, because we did this quickly, and yet there's never been communication like is on this plane. Our pilots are incredible. You know, when you fly the president, not me, just the president, but they say there's a rumor that when you fly the president, you have to be the best pilot. So my pilot's very good. Raise your hand, pilots. He took me in the other plane over, the National Collegiate game, the championship game. I say, do me a favor, buzz the stadium. As we arrived at the stadium.
Welcome in. I'm Mugo Digwe. You've been watching President Trump at an event to unveil the new Air Force One alongside members of the Air Force. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us live right now from outside the White House. And Natalie, I'm curious about everything we've just heard from the president. Your thoughts?
Hi, Mugo. Well, yeah, this was kind of an unexpected news conference around this new Air Force One. And this is, remember, that luxury plane that was donated by Qatar to the tune of $400 million is what the plane is valued at. And it was being retrofitted to serve as kind of a bridge Air Force One. The president has expressed frustration that it's taken a long time for Boeing to try to build and upgrade what will be the new Air Force One. So this is kind of a bridge plane donated by Qatar. Remember, it caused a lot of controversy at the time when this was announced earlier in his second term, critics raising concern around, the possibility of conflicts of interest with the United States accepting this plane. The president has really dismissed or downplayed any of that criticism, saying, why wouldn't I accept this plane from an ally? We knew that the president was headed to JBA to meet with troops there and then head to Camp David, where he will spend the weekend. We did not expect him to give this kind of impromptu news conference in front of the new plane, which we also saw has that, new color look, new detailing. I was listening for other headlines as we've been talking, Mugo, all day about the U.S. and Iran negotiations, right, where things stand, especially with that overnight flare-up in fighting between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah. The president, not really addressing that, but he did offer his praise to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying that Bibi Netanyahu is, quote, a warrior, and he should be acknowledged for that. But we should note, earlier today, Mugo, you were reporting on the news of a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah for now, to try to get things back on track. The president did not talk about when those technical talks, the new, clock, the 60 days of negotiations that the United States will enter into with Iran, when exactly that will begin. After the developing news this morning was that the vice president's trip to Switzerland, where those in-person, the first step of those in-person talks had been postponed.
Yeah, we'll wait and see when we learn more about what could come next. Natalie Brand at the White House for us today. Thank you so much. And now I want to bring in CBS News senior foreign correspondent MTS Tayyab live in Tel Aviv for us. MTS, thank you for your time. What do we know about the ceasefire agreement so far?
Well, Muga, we can tell you that for now, it's holding, although we are hearing some flare-ups on the ground. That in itself isn't entirely unexpected. But in short, what I think is the most important thing to point out here of this ceasefire is that it came very suddenly. In fact, when it happened, most of us here were completely shocked, given just the scale of violence that we saw overnight between Israel and Hezbollah. Of course, Israel announcing that 4 of its soldiers were killed in the fighting. Lebanon's health ministry saying 18 Lebanese people were killed in many Israeli strikes across southern Lebanon. In fact, upwards of around 150 Israeli strikes. But it comes at a time of intense pressure, not least from President Trump, who has made it very clear to the Israeli leadership that he wants to enter into these negotiations with Iran now that this memorandum of understanding has been signed. But the one thing we need to be very clear about here is that although there is a ceasefire in place, it is a very fragile one.
Yeah, exactly, which brings up our next question for you, MTS, because Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Hezbollah will pay a heavy price for the deaths of 4 Israeli soldiers. So what could that look like when there's now a ceasefire in place?
I think we've seen Israel's response to the deaths of those soldiers. Again, 150 strikes, Israel announcing that they killed, quote, dozens of Hezbollah fighters. We have no way of independently verifying that claim, but when you consider just the scale of the violence that we saw leading up to this ceasefire announcement, it is clear that Israel, or rather the message that Israel is making not just to Hezbollah, but also Iran and beyond, that if this ceasefire is violated, or they perceive it to be violated, that we will see this kind of violence again. But I just want to keep stressing the fact that when it comes to these negotiations, President Trump has signed this memorandum of understanding. The very first point of that MOU is that violence needs to stop across the region, and Lebanon was specifically mentioned. But here in Israel, this has gone down terribly. The majority of Israelis view Hezbollah as an existential threat. They do not want the fighting to end, and more importantly, they see Iran as an existential threat and do not agree agree with this memorandum of understanding, nor do they want to see some sort of final settlement that could see Iran receive billions of dollars of its funds that are held in banks abroad, that Iran could see sanctions lift, and that Iran could essentially emerge from this war, which was essentially meant to decapitate it and potentially lead to regime change, potentially come back even stronger. So the mood here in Israel is certainly one of anger that this ceasefire is in place and that this memorandum of understanding is now been signed and negotiations will begin. But the long and short of it is simply this: Israel relies heavily on the U.S. President Trump has, in his own words, been a very good friend to Israel. And when it comes to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he has very few options in front of him but to listen to the U.S. president, at least for now.
Yeah, and still so many questions about what comes next. MTS Tayeb in Tel Aviv for us. Thank you so much for your time. Ahead, dangerous flooding along the Gulf Coast as the waters start to recede. A look at the damage and how neighbors are helping each other. That's next. You're watching CBS News 24/7.